You wake before the bells. The cold gray light of dawn seeps through the narrow wooden shutters, slipping into the small room like a quiet warning. Paris is already awake, though the sun has not yet risen above the slate roofs. Somewhere beyond your window, a distant cart rattles over uneven cobblestones, its iron wheels grinding against the stone like a slow heartbeat of the city. You sit up slowly on the narrow bed stuffed with rough straw. The blanket is coarse wool, heavy and slightly damp from the winter air that seeps through the walls of the old building. The year is 1793, and Paris is no longer the glittering capital of kings. It is a city holding its breath. Outside, the morning smells of smoke, damp stone, and bread baking in communal ovens. You pull on your shirt, simple linen, off-white and slightly yellowed from many washings. The fabric scratches faintly against your skin. Your trousers are dark wool, patched at the knee, tied at the waist with a cord rather than buttons. A thick waistcoat follows, faded brown, practical and plain. Clothing in this new Paris speaks louder than words. Gone are the powdered wigs and silk coats of the aristocracy. Those who once wore them have vanished. Some fled across borders, others disappeared into prisons whose doors closed silently in the night. Now the streets belong to the citizens. Sans-culottes, men in practical trousers instead of aristocratic breeches. Women in wool dresses, shawls wrapped tightly around their shoulders against the winter cold. Red caps appear everywhere now, the Phrygian cap of liberty, bright against the dull stone city. You step down the narrow wooden stairs of the apartment building. Each step creaks under your weight. The building itself leans slightly toward the street, as though tired from centuries of watching Paris change. When the door opens, the city greets you with a chill wind. The sky is pale steel. Thin clouds drift low over the rooftops, and smoke rises from hundreds of chimneys across the city. Paris is dense and alive, its streets twisting through medieval neighborhoods where houses nearly touch above the road. You step onto the cobblestones. They are uneven and wet from last night's frost melting into thin puddles. The stones glisten faintly in the weak morning light. A baker's shop nearby glows warm through its window. Inside, a man in a flour-stained apron lifts loaves from a brick oven with a long wooden paddle. The scent of fresh bread drifts through the street, rich and comforting. A small crowd has already formed outside the bakery. Women clutch woven baskets. Children stand close to their mothers. Everyone waits quietly, watching the door. Bread is life in Paris. And in these days of revolution, bread is never guaranteed. You walk slowly along the street, passing shuttered shops and narrow doorways. Above you, laundry lines stretch between windows like flags of ordinary life. Linen shirts, gray stockings, worn dresses fluttering gently in the wind. Posters cover the walls, fresh ones pasted over older ones. Revolutionary notices, political announcements, speeches printed in bold ink. The name of the Republic appears again and again. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. But beneath those proud words is something else. Something quieter, heavier. Fear. The street opens into a small square where a public fountain trickles steadily into a stone basin. People gather here each morning to collect water. The sound of splashing buckets mixes with murmured conversations. A woman lowers her pail carefully into the basin. Her dress is dark blue wool, thick and practical, with a white linen apron tied around her waist. Her hair is pinned beneath a plain bonnet, though a small red ribbon has been added, a silent signal of loyalty to the revolution. Across the square stands a cafe, not the elegant salons of old Paris, but a modest gathering place where wooden tables spill out onto the street. Already, a few men sit there wrapped in heavy coats, drinking dark coffee from simple ceramic cups. They speak in low voices. Every conversation now carries the weight of politics. Every opinion could become dangerous. Inside the cafe, a violinist sits near the corner fireplace. His music is quiet, reflective, slow notes that drift through the room like smoke. The melody feels older than the revolution, older even than the city itself. Paris remembers everything. You continue toward the wider boulevards near the center of the city. The streets grow busier as the morning advances. Vendors push carts loaded with vegetables, cloth, tools, and firewood. The markets are loud now. Voices shout prices. Coins clink. Chickens squawk from wicker cages. A butcher sharpens his knife against a whetstone with a slow rhythmic scrape. A young boy runs past carrying folded newspapers printed overnight. The ink is still fresh, the headlines bold and urgent. Every day brings new declarations, new trials, new decisions that shape the fate of France. The wind shifts, carrying the distant ringing of church bells. Not the grand ceremonial bells of royal celebrations. These bells sound different now, shorter, sharper. They call citizens to meetings, to assemblies, to witness history unfolding in real time. You cross a narrow bridge over the Seine. The river moves slowly beneath the stone arches, gray and cold beneath the cloudy sky. Barges drift along the water carrying timber, grain, and barrels of wine toward the busy markets. On the far bank, the great silhouette of Notre Dame rises above the island. The cathedral still stands as it has for centuries, its Gothic towers watching silently over Paris. But the world around it has changed. Religious statues have been removed from some squares. Church property has been claimed by the state. Even ancient traditions bend under the pressure of revolution. The streets grow more crowded as you approach the heart of the city. Red caps appear everywhere. Citizens gather in small groups, reading notices posted on public boards. Some speak passionately, their voices rising with excitement about the new republic. Others listen quietly, watching, thinking. A group of National Guards marches past. Their uniforms are deep blue coats trimmed with white and red, brass buttons catching the pale light of morning. Muskets rest neatly against their shoulders as they move in steady rhythm. Their boots strike the cobblestones in perfect unison. The sound echoes through the street like a drum. Order must be maintained, even in revolution. You turn into a wider square where a large wooden platform stands in the center. The structure is simple but unmistakable. Around it, citizens gather in quiet clusters. No one laughs loudly here. Conversations are softer, measured. The air feels heavier. A cold wind passes through the square, rustling coats and shawls. Paris in 1793 is a city balancing on the edge of history. Power no longer lives in palaces. It lives in crowds. It lives in voices. It lives in the decisions of ordinary citizens who once had none. You move away from the square, continuing through streets that twist like ancient veins through the city. Horses pull wagons loaded with coal. Blacksmiths hammer glowing iron inside open workshops. The ringing metal echoes sharply through the narrow lanes. Above you, tall stone buildings lean toward each other, their windows framed with wooden shutters painted green or brown. Carved doorways reveal the craftsmanship of earlier centuries. Despite revolution, the bones of old Paris remain. Afternoon light slowly breaks through the clouds. A faint golden glow spreads across rooftops, reflecting off windows and church towers. The Seine catches the light like a ribbon of dull silver. The city feels restless now. Messengers hurry through the streets carrying sealed letters. Political clubs fill with debate. Printing presses work constantly, producing pamphlets that will spread new ideas across France. And somewhere beyond the maze of streets, decisions are being made that will change the course of history forever. Evening approaches. Lanterns begin to appear in windows. Shadows stretch across the cobblestones as the sun sinks behind the western rooftops. The markets close slowly. Vendors pack their carts. Shopkeepers pull wooden shutters over their doors. But the city does not grow quiet. Paris rarely sleeps. Music drifts from taverns where citizens gather to drink cheap wine and argue passionately about liberty, equality, and the future of France. Candles flicker on tables. Voices rise and fall like waves. Outside, the wind carries the distant sound of drums. Night patrols moving through the city, protecting the revolution, or perhaps protecting something else entirely. You walk once more beside the Seine. The river reflects the scattered lights of the city like broken stars. Bridges cast long shadows over the water. A cold mist rises slowly from the surface, wrapping the keys in pale fog. Paris feels older at night, quieter, as if the stones themselves are thinking. Behind shuttered windows, families gather around small fireplaces. Mothers mend clothing by candlelight. Fathers read newspapers aloud, their voices careful and serious. Children listen without fully understanding. History is happening all around them. Above the rooftops, the towers of the city stand dark against the moonlit clouds. Notre Dame watches silently. The old palaces remain. The narrow medieval streets still twist through neighborhoods where generations have lived and worked. But everything feels different now. The monarchy that once ruled France is gone. A new world is being built in its place. You stand for a moment beside the river, listening to the quiet flow of water beneath the bridges. The wind moves softly through the city streets. Paris breathes, waiting, watching, and somewhere in the distance, beyond the rooftops and the river and the restless crowds, the future of France moves one step closer to its next turning point. Because in this city, in this year, every ordinary day carries the weight of a revolution that is still unfolding.